live? G'day, Andrew here. I'm going to start doing some of these live sessions purely because I haven't been working for the last 12 months and I'm just getting back into it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to just take advantage of this awesome YouTube live and just share some of my learnings that I've had from 12 months off, but also learnings I've had from being in business now for over 20 years, having built up and exited 3 companies and also work with thousands of others. I thought, you know what, I'm going to give back and share some of my lessons and learnings. And I wanted to start with this idea of what I've just learned from taking 12 months off. My last video was my learnings from 6 months. So if you get something from this, maybe jump back and watch that other video that I did in the last one. But yeah, I've been in a very fortunate position to take 12 months away from being busy. So I sold a company in June last year, 2020, and it's now July 2021. I've done a few bits and pieces, but in all, I've really taken the whole year off, and it's opened me up to a whole new world, which I think so few people get to actually appreciate. And again, I just feel extremely lucky that I've had the privilege to take that time out. And I know that a lot of you might not be in that position, or financially or commitment wise, whatever it is, but I would love you to realize that you could create a goal or an intention to have this. That's how it started for me. I had it down as a goal. I wanted to take a year out, and I had within a 10-year plan, and I was able to deliver on that goal. And I'm a big believer in writing down what it is that you want and making it happen. Anyway, back to my learnings, and I've just summarized them. There's really 3 things, but I'm going to focus on 2 today. And the first one that I wanted to speak about is there's just so much more to work or to life than just being busy. That's one of my biggest lessons from taking 12 months off, that there's just so much more to it. And I feel I was trapped in being busy and always achieving and feeling guilty from not working. And I've learned that there's just so much more to life. Even now, when I look out the window, I realize that when you're busy, you miss so much of life because you're busy in your brain, you're busy in thoughts, you're busy in doing. And this is linking me to the second point, which is this whole idea of being versus doing. This has probably been my biggest lesson from taking 12 months off, that when you slow down and when you're not busy and when you're not distracted with work, you drop into this different energy. You sort of exit your brain and you move into your body, and you become a lot more present to what's going on around you, and you really do smell the roses. Now, I haven't had the whole year like that, but I've definitely had big patches of the year where I've exited from being busy, entered into being. It's a bit like when you're on a holiday and you just really, I don't know if you've had that feeling when you're on a holiday where you don't have any responsibility, you're happy to sleep in, you just really enjoy, and everything slows down and you become a lot happier. That's what being is. And being is when you're in tune with what's going on around you. And so you can actually, for example, sit in the garden, and rather than sitting in the garden thinking you should be somewhere else, you can sit in the garden and just enjoy sitting in the garden. You might be sitting there observing the clouds, or sitting there enjoying a bit of sun, or just sitting there just admiring your garden. And I think being is when you're not sitting there thinking, oh, the lawn's too messy, or the trees are I should be pruning back the trees, or I should be doing something else. It's all of these shoulds that we put all over ourselves. So this has been a huge learning for me, that I really feel that in Western world, for whatever reason, we're brought up to be busy, and we're brought up to be doers. And there's a lot of us successful entrepreneurs and people that are driven feel very guilty when they're not doing. And therefore, it's like a drug. It's like, you fill your life with doing at the expense of being. And then you feel guilty when you're being, even though you're doing all the doing in order to get to a position so you can be. This is the irony of it, right? And so having 12 months off, I was able to, it took me about 4 weeks to go from being a doer to then just all of a sudden, hey, I don't need to do. I'm just going to focus on being. And during that period as well, I stumbled across a mentor who's dead, but I started reading about this guy called Ramana Maharishi, who's an Indian guy. And for whatever reason, I believe when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And because I was so into this being, I was drawn to the teachings of this guy called Ramana. And I speak about this in my last video a lot. And everything that he teaches is the opposite to what I have been taught. So Ramana teaches that the only striving that we need to have in life is to learn to not strive, to not try hard, to not have ambition, to not have goals. He's all about learning to be. And I found it very difficult to take on his message because as a coach, I've always taught people to push hard and strive and achieve and go for it. And the teachings of Ramana have been very opposite, very aligned to my message of what are we chasing. I wrote a book called What the Hell Are You Chasing? Because I was so trapped in doing at the expense of being, even though my higher intuition, my higher self was calling me to learn about this whole being world. And so I've learned a lot from this Ramana, and he's all about that life's happening for us anyway, so you don't have to try, just trust. And this has probably been my third biggest lesson, because I've exited 2 companies before, and in both instances I took 3 months off, and I was very restless in those 3 months because I felt that I needed to launch the next thing, because I had fear. It was fear-based. I was worried that if I didn't get busy again, then money would run out, or I had a fear of my skill would dry up and people wouldn't want to follow me or whatever. And so because of the fear, I got really caught up busy during I'm having 3 months off, and I got really busy not enjoying it. However, I have learned in this last 12 months, and again, thanks to the teachings of Ramana, is whatever will happen. Which just means that I can learn to just relax a lot more and trust that the next opportunity, the next thing for me will just come when it's ready. Money will take care of itself. Everything will just happen. And I think this is being like the nature, the universe just has such a perfection. It's so perfect. It's got such a perfect plan for me, I feel, and for you as well. I believe for everyone that we can relax so much more, and when we understand this, we can learn to let go and be a lot more, which means stop striving and stop trying and stop pushing yourself and slow down and all of these ideas. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos, but I wanted to just share. That's been the biggest lesson from 12 months off, that busyness is doing. A lot of us do it at the expense of being. There's a whole new world that exists outside of being busy. A lot of people avoid it because of guilt and fear, even though they deeply crave it. I believe most of us crave being, yet the guilt of not being busy is just driven by fear. It's a fear of, if I slow down and stop, I won't be worthy. If I slow down and stop, the money will dry up. But deep down, we all want to do that. We all want to be able to just go out and not have any to-dos and just enjoy life for what it is. Peace of mind. And it's just, I'll leave this thought here. Marianne Williamson said something, and she said, ego thinks that I need to get all these things externally and then I'll feel peace. Spirit, or our higher self, says, find your peace and everything will fall into place. I find that really amazing. Find your peace and everything will fall into place. So thought I'd leave that message with you, and I'll come back and share other ideas as we go. It's my first live stream on here, and I'll be doing more as we go along. All right, take care.